The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998. Live from the 540 ESPN studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, this is the Pro Wrestling Report with David Hero, Frank Cosentino, Linda Kay, and your host, Damian Nelson.
Lights, camera, action.
Good fight. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson here along with David Hero and the lovely Linda Kay, our social media diva, on Monday, October 3rd, 2011. Thank you for joining us wherever you may be, all over the world, and most importantly, here in the Milwaukee area. We are on the air as WWE RAW has just gone off the air, and for those of you who are watching, which I would assume to be most of you, well, David, I don't know what to call that. It was.
That's what's going to happen to you if you're not careful around here. You're going to get the vote of no confidence.
You're replaceable.
Well, Frank's gone. He walked out. The other guys on Thursday nights. Just Linda and I left right now.
A vote of no confidence for WWE's COO, Triple H. I just don't know, David. That was sort of stupid.
You know what?
I hate to judge it this quickly because I'm sure the end will be better than what we saw tonight. But that was corny, hokey, silly, and just not good.
You go from a hot, exciting, volatile ending to Hell in a Cell last night to go to this tonight. Kind of took a step backwards. They had a great 12-man tag team match that should have ended
35,
the show.
40 minutes. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I guess let's fill you in if you didn't see it. A vote of no confidence tonight called for by John Laurinaitis against Triple H by the WWE roster. The roster comes out, surrounds the ring. Out comes Triple H. And let me actually make one point clear. The roster minus Randy Orton, CM Punk, and John Cena come down to the ring, surround the ring.
But the baby faces couldn't come down to the ring tonight.
I'm sorry?
The baby faces couldn't.
They all did.
Cena, Punk, and Orton
You mean the main guys?
Are the main babies. They have to give a vote of confidence to Triple H.
But they didn't. They didn't even show up to the vote.
Because they couldn't. Because the deal was everybody walks away. John Cena's not going to walk away. He's the All-American Boy Scout. He's, Dr. Doolittle, Dr. Do-Right, Dudley Do-Right.
Triple H says he is a bit old school. He wants to see people fight. He's sick of all this talking. Wade Barrett speaks up first, says, again, it's an unsafe working environment. Now, it's professional wrestling. How do you create an unsafe working environment
right
in a competitive sports
when you
situation?
Just had a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view where you have Money in the Bank matches, where you have an I Quit match, a no false count anywhere match.
Extreme Rules.
Barrett continues and says Triple H is the reason for all the chaos. And then Triple H, which I thought was clever, David Hero, references Wade Barrett and Nexus saying, I guess the chaos was okay when you caused it.
Right.
We then heard from referee Mike Chioda, Beth Phoenix, Jerry Lawler. That vote led by Christian, no confidence. Everyone walks out on Triple H and WWE, including the cameramen, the timekeeper, the ring announcer, the broadcasters. Is it my fault that I don't care?
Yeah.
I didn't. It's so ridiculous.
It really is. I can't even try to. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even close to being believable that happened to Triple H. Now, question: had they done this to Vince McMahon, would it have been more believable?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because how many times did like when Vince? What is that one line you always say? It was me, Austin. It was me all along. That would have been a perfect scenario for something like that.
Mm-hmm. Tonight, at the end of that, not next week, not Friday night.
Yeah.
It makes for an interesting SmackDown.
You know what? But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, and by watching this, there's going to be a lot more said than done. It's going to make sense.
Exactly. I have confidence in that fact. However, this here was laughable. It was a joke. It was a complete and total joke. It was they spoke in. It was like listening to you at times, David Hero. They spoke in circles.
But
circles.
it makes sense.
No, that was the difference. This didn't.
You know what Triple H could do?
What could he do?
He could hire some of the Ring of Honor and TNA guys and bring them in now.
Because he needs people?
Like his own XFL.
We are going to be taking your phone calls tonight. The number is 800-990-ESPN, 800-990-ESPN, or 414-276-ESPN. We're also going to be joined at the top of the second hour by Chavo Guerrero. Chavo Guerrero, our guest this week here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Very interested to hear from Chavo. And as
He's
usual,
very open and opinionated as well. This will be interesting to hear what he has to say.
Absolutely. Coming off the heels of that interview with Jeff Hardy that I had the pleasure of conducting on last week's PWR Primetime Television, this should be fun tonight.
Absolutely.
Linda Kay, I think we're going to play the themes game again tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? The theme of themes.
It is back.
I can't wait to see what you came up with. I read a little bit out on Facebook earlier.
It kind of plays off from what happened last night.
Oh, boy.
I mean,
The after party?
Wait.
Yeah.
Speaking of last night, the last tweet I saw
Remember
was
that-
Damien
remember that paper
and
you signed?
you, Linda Kay, together. And then after that, I saw nothing. There were no more tweets from either one of you.
Because it was not
So
for you to see.
you got a lot of explaining to do.
No, we don't actually.
Yes, well, it was the Pitbull concert last night, so I'm still feeling it. Still feeling it. So tonight's theme of themes, Latino heat.
I hear voices in my head.
Latino heat?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I get it. The Chavo thing.
Yeah.
Chavo Guerrero,
And
our
the
guest.
Pitbull thing. Okay, I see how
Latino
you guys are
heat tonight.
operating. Yeah, beautiful.
Me not working hard. Yeah, right. Picture that with
Yeah,
a Kodak.
that's
Gonna get me out of
exactly
my
what
seat
I'm
and start
thinking,
dancing
too.
again, Damien.
Me with a Kodak. So my life from negative
Latino
to
Heat,
positive
theme of themes tonight. You can go to our Facebook page
That's Facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report.
and submit your theme of themes coming in and out of break or coming out of break. We'll go ahead and select one of those themes from our Facebook page so you can contribute to the show in that fashion. Theme of themes, Latino Heat. More about WWE RAW tonight, and we'll get to some of your tweets in just a minute, especially those of you who use the hashtag PWR all night long. Some funny stuff coming out of the Twitterverse tonight. And David Hero, as you said, a tremendous 12-man tag match. One that was given time and delivered. Sheamus getting the pin on Dolph Ziggler. John Cena not selling a moment of time from last night's pay-per-view, aside from everybody else who did.
Nothing. I can't believe it.
You can believe it. You can believe
You
it.
know, even Punk, he did sell a little bit.
Who?
but-
Cena?
No, I'm saying Punk.
Yeah.
ADR really didn't sell. They were brutally abused and battered last night by Miz and Ron
Resulting
Killings.
in an arrest.
Yes. Even Kelly, who was screaming in pain last night, came out like nothing was wrong, smiling, fingers in the air, waving around like she just don't care, Come on now. But you already knew that.
Santino Marella makes his return on Raw tonight, easily defeating Jinder Mahal. We saw a promo, a video package, if you will, for Brodus Clay.
He
Clay
is
coming
a
back.
monster. He's going to be a stud on either Raw or SmackDown.
Oh, I haven't endorsed him yet.
You don't have to. I already have. He was my pick to win NXT.
Your endorsements are like, it's like the Onion endorsing somebody.
Wait a minute, Bro Cephas. I called Sheamus, and what happened to him?
He
been
won a title and then
fantastic.
quickly got buried and then eventually came back just a
And
few weeks back.
who got the big victory in the 12-man tonight?
Oh, yeah, because that matters. Sheamus did.
Yes, his theme music was played loud and proud.
My endorsements have a 12-month time span on them, meaning they will ascend to fame within 12 months.
And do you know
Yours
why that
seem to
is?
have a 4-year time span on them.
No. My guys, boom, right away. Money makers.
And then, boom, right away, money takers.
That's fine. You know what? Make fun all you want. Let's see
I'm not
how,
making fun. I'm presenting the facts as a
see
broadcast
how
journalist.
far Slater and Gabriel go for you.
I did not endorse Justin Gabriel. I endorsed Heath Slater, yes, and we still have a few months left on that 12 months.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. 2. You got 2 months left.
That'll be fine. They got time. Well, you know what? I think we need to go to a phone call. I still have difficulty comprehending what we saw in the last 20 minutes of Raw and trying to see it as a fan and not as a broadcast journalist. Let's go to the phones. And again, you could join us, 800-990-ESPN or all over the southeastern Wisconsin area at 414-276-ESPN. Let's go to Eric in Michigan. Eric in Michigan, you are live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you tonight?
Fantastic.
All right. First of all, John Cena could no-sell a nuclear attack, and you guys know this.
So he's a cockroach.
What?
Second of all, I mean, you guys are pooping all over the show tonight. I mean, it was pretty compelling television. You got to remember, they're not wrestling anymore. It's entertainment.
But here's the thing. What is the last thing you saw going off the air?
Well, I mean, it made for compelling television. What's going to happen next week is the big question. It should have happened tonight. Obviously, you're either going to get this whole new NWO feature coming on, or you're going to get Vince McMahon back, which is obviously going to be the thing to crap on the fans.
But Eric, you're speculating as to what might happen, and you're also sharing your opinion about tonight's Raw, which you're entitled to, obviously. But you say it was compelling television. I think what wasn't compelling about it was the fact that it was so comical. That's the piece that made it a little difficult to swallow.
But here's another thing you got to look at. In a way, they're starting to build up those belts again. You know, you're starting to get more of a focus on Cody Rhodes, which I hate to say it, but you're getting a focus on this guy. And Wade Barrett got the microphone tonight. No CM Punk, it was Wade Barrett.
Well, because you can't have the baby faces, the 3 baby faces, the big 3, walk out on Triple H.
True.
You know what? It was good wrestling tonight. They told some good stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny how John Morrison gets a new T-shirt and then he gets crushed again. So that might be half off next week.
He's the new leader of the new job squad with Heath Slater and Justin Gabriel.
I'm fine with that.
Al Snow's going to end up suing just like Archer only for gimmick infringement.
So, Eric, you were satisfied with Raw tonight. You thought it was a good show overall, including the ending.
Spectacularly satisfied. Everything except for the last bit of it was okay. I do agree that 12-man tag team was fantastic, and me being a Dolph Ziggler mark and seeing him carry most of the match was fantastic. Yeah. But for them to end with an obvious Triple H being either the one to start off the show or end the show every week, you had to have known it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Eric, thank you very much for that phone call. And, compelling. I have difficulty accepting that term to describe the ending of Raw tonight.
Okay, but once again, Damian, Raw is not written for you or Linda Kay or myself. It's written for a younger audience.
Yeah. But John Cena didn't walk out.
He didn't. He can't.
But the younger audience would have related to that better than what they could relate to tonight.
No, because, listen, Triple H is their number 2 or 3 guy in the company.
Yes.
Okay? It goes Cena, Triple H, and then, Punk and Orton, I guess, after that.
Mm-hmm. But you're saying that they didn't write it for people like us, yet you're explaining why Cena wasn't out there, which is only understood by people like us. The question, how could they have made that whole thing less comical? And as we said earlier, Vince McMahon being there would have made it somewhat feel real, or at least more real to a degree. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, my God, there's no chance that happened. It's all written. It's all scripted, blah, 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 blah. No. We've talked about this many a time. We've mentioned this many a times. Believability. Believability is something that was missing, I think, from the final segment on Raw tonight. Again, it was too funny to take seriously. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I am.
Here's what you're missing.
What am I missing?
Triple H, when he came out, he said when he was there, or he remembers it when there was men in the ring.
Right, yeah.
Now it's not men in the ring anymore. Now it's kids. Mm-hmm. Young guys in their mid-20s, maybe early 30s if they're lucky. When the Attitude Era was hot, you had DX, Mankind, Rock, Austin, H, Kane, Taker. You know, those guys fought, and there was far more stuff going on inside and outside the ring back then.
Exactly, which is what leads to the comedic nature of tonight.
No, it just shows how wrestling has changed. That's what it shows. It's taken 10 steps backwards.
Not forward?
No, it's gone backwards.
Again, we're taking your phone calls. The number 414-276-ESPN, all over the world, 1-800-990-ESPN.
When Kane lit Jim Ross on fire, did JR come back the next week and want to sue the company for harmful working conditions?
No.
No. When Mick Foley beat up JR in his first Mankind sit-down interview? No. But right now, they have no other way to get some heat on some of these guys, so they got to do it this way.
A couple of comments on Twitter from tonight. User by the name of Real Deal MN508. Best Raw in the last 3 weeks or so. Very solid. H1_Adam. I vote no confidence on that ending to Raw. I am Glorioso, username and Twitter. Storytelling people have patience. So fans are out there, and a couple of people said that, talking about have patience, talking about wait and see what's next. Mm-hmm. The same fans that blew a gasket when Christian lost his WWE World Championship 5 days after he won it.
2.
Well, 2 in real life, 5 in TV life. Mm-hmm. So why should I be expected to have patience with this if I wasn't expected to have patience with that? Because by and far, Christian has evolved and gotten better and gotten more prominent in WWE because of that quick title change. And by the way, one other point that needs to be made as we talk about Hell in a Cell, how many times has the WWE Championship changed in the last, 2 months? 8 times or something like that?
Has it been that many?
It's been a lot of times. It's gone from Punk to Cena to Mysterio to ADR to Cena to Punk to Mysterio. It's just been it's a hot potato, if you will. So,
you know what? But as long as the belt is now around the waist of the most charismatic guy in Raw, Alberto Del Rio, it doesn't make a difference anymore.
I was glad to see the WWE champion buried in the 12-man matchup tonight. Just saying.
What do you mean
Let's
buried?
go to our next phone call.
Buried?
He was buried amongst 11 other men in a tag team matchup tonight.
So was the Intercontinental, the United States, and the tag team champions.
Not the WWE champion. Not the World Heavyweight champion, rather.
Well, yeah, because SmackDown is the weaker brand.
With the better champion.
All their main stars were in the main event on Raw.
Let's go to Rich in Atlantic City. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, Rich.
Fantastic.
That's good to hear. Anyway, I want to preference this with I got out of work late. I only saw about the last 25 minutes of Raw, and I find it almost laughable in which we are the fans are cheering a guy who is basically, let's say the NFL commissioner said, I'm going to take away roughing the passer. So I'm not going to protect these guys, and the fans go crazy. They cheer. It's like it's almost Bizarro World. And another issue I have is his shot at Wade Barrett, saying, Wade Barrett, you caused all this chaos. It's okay if you do it. It's not okay if I do it. There's a core difference in that Wade Barrett is a wrestler and Triple H is supposed to be the head of a company.
Mm-hmm.
Those were my 2 huge issues where you have one of the top baby faces in Triple H, guys running the company, basically saying, you guys don't like how I'm running things, well, go toughen up. If you get injured, that's on you, boo-hoo. But I kind of lost my train of thought on that one.
That's all right. You make good points.
You know what I find amazing is that Triple H is booking himself to be the doofus that CM Punk called him.
But maybe that's what I'm missing. He doesn't come off as a doofus. He comes off as the person who's speaking reasonably.
But who's lost all control of his company.
Has he?
They all walked out tonight, didn't they?
But because Miz and R-Truth attacked 5 people, he's lost control of the company. Everyone else feels unsafe.
Oh no, the Mark Henry, causes Lawler to have anal bleeding. And then you have the referees getting beat up. I mean, legitimately beat up. You have guys getting kicked out of a building only to get back into the building, to be kicked out to get back in the main event. Your best friend comes in and causes problems for you.
Is this too much? Is this beyond the realm of believability or beyond the realm of comprehension?
That same stuff happens here at ESPN Studios.
Beyond the realm of comprehension for the average fan, meaning this is too much, meaning this is too far.
No way. Not at all.
Gets you to tune in more.
Oh, you know what? But I'll be honest. I don't know if what happened tonight is going to make me want to really tune in now next Monday night to see what happens.
What about SmackDown?
I have. I'll read the spoilers to see what happens on SmackDown. But really, it's that. It's. I have no reason to really tune in because they're not all going to leave. They're not all going to go anywhere. They're all going to come back, or someone's going to come back and try and save the company. And it's just it's not that. It's not the big of an angle as that I'm sure that they had hoped it was going to be. You don't know enough about John Laurinaitis except for his grovelly voice to truly want to hate the guy. You don't know what his role has been with that company for so long. He's just all of a sudden become a character overnight.
Let's continue on the phones. Let's go down to Sean in Texas. Sean, you're live. Hello, Sean.
What's going on, guys?
Not much. What do you have for us today?
Well, man, I got two big issues concerning Raw, man. I'm getting to the point to where Triple H is on television entirely too much. And if you really look at things from a realistic standpoint, we all know who's pulling the strings. It's Kevin Nash is involved. Everybody kind of forgot that Kevin Nash ain't all the way gone. And my second big issue is, what do you think about, this angle of, Triple H doing a bad job?
Thank you very much for that call, Sean, down in Texas. Let me say this. I am 100% confident that at the end of all this, it will be worth it. Because these are huge things that they're doing. The whole relinquishing of power from Vince McMahon, the whole CM Punk thing, the whole Triple H COO thing. These are huge things that they're doing, and there has to be some end result that is going to make it all worth it. The only challenge I have with tonight is I'm not sure that it was real enough, as real as it could be, real enough to really perpetuate whatever it was they wanted to perpetuate. Tonight, it was good. It was well done, but it was just comical at times, in my opinion. And that takes some of the believability factor out of it, which makes it a challenge to follow. But I think, again, I don't even think it's an issue of patience. It's an issue of you sometimes have to endure the bad to deal with the good, but enduring the ridiculous to get to the good is not the same.
But the way they hotshot everything, we'll know where they're going within a week or so.
Right. If the whole CM Punk thing's any example, come tomorrow night on SmackDown, we'll know where they're going with the whole thing. We're going to take more of your phone calls, and remember, joining us at the top of the hour is Chavo Guerrero, first time on this program. We're going to talk more about WWE RAW, Hell in a Cell. We've got Fan of the Week and more coming up next. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com. We're live Monday, October 3rd, 2011. Damian Nelson along here with Linda Kay and David Hero talking about WWE RAW, WWE Hell in a Cell. Going to be joined by Chavo Guerrero in just a moment. And tonight's theme of themes is Latino Heat. A little LWO action there, Linda Kay.
Oh, yeah. Thank you to JD, Justin Davidson, and Jared Garrison for choosing the LWO. One of my favorite themes of all time. Just makes
Is that right?
Yeah, makes you want to move.
Of all time?
Well, I mean,
It's a long time, Linda.
I mean, of every song that's out there?
I don't want to say my favorite of all. Okay, it makes me dance. That's what I meant.
Wow.
My favorite ones of all time.
Not in your head like, yeah, huh?
Exactly.
There you go. That's better.
Been talking about the very unique ending to Raw tonight, where Triple H was given a vote of confidence by the WWE roster, who then walked out on Triple H, leaving him standing in the middle of the ring to end WWE RAW tonight. And we've been taking your phone calls. We've also got your tweets. And those of you using the mentioning us on Twitter and using the hashtag PWR, Linda will get to a couple of those in a minute. But first, let's go over to Michigan and speak to David, who's waiting on line 1. David, you're live.
Hey, how's everyone doing tonight?
Tremendous.
That's great. Yeah, I think Raw has been, ever since Triple H has taken over, I think Raw has been a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously a lot of people are getting all in an uproar about the whole situation that's going on about Miz and Truth, which maybe the internet's kind of hurt me as being a fan of wrestling, because I don't really see it as I did like 10 years ago either. Like a lot of people are looking at it now. I can more look at it for what it is as the entertainment value of wrestling.
Yeah.
Not so much getting dove into the storylines like some of these crazy wrestling fans.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been, it's questionable whether it's been better or worse than it was before, but let's really look back at how we evolved into Triple H being the COO. CM Punk wins the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank. Vince McMahon is voted out. Triple H comes on board. You know, all that has happened since July. And it's only the beginning of October. So I wonder, though, if things are progressing a little faster than they should. And as we've talked about on this program for a few weeks, a lot of stuff that's happened has been a slow burn, even though the overall pacing of WWE has been fast. I think the Cody Rhodes buildup has been a slow burn. I think that the Mark Henry buildup has been a slow burn. I think that the Christian build has been a slow burn. And all of that has been better and easier to absorb because of the way it's been presented to us. And much of that credit goes to Jim Ross, by the way, because the commentary has certainly evolved since he returned. And overall, you're probably not hearing a lot more of what is actually being said at ringside from the talents that are there, which is what makes it that much better.
Damien, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
I just want to say, it's nothing to do with tonight, but I want to say a great job on the interview with Jeff Hardy. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm in Michigan, so I had to watch it on YouTube, but it was a great job. I mean, I loved watching it. It was a good interview, good show. I love the show, so it's a good thing. We'll see you next week, so you guys have a good night.
Well, thank you so much.
You too.
Thank you so much, David, for calling in. David from Michigan. And, you know, we'll talk about that interview with Jeff Hardy later on, and you know, it was – I didn't realize till afterwards when we got that interview and when I spoke to Jeff, and you can go back and check, and I've not been at all defensive of Jeff Hardy's behavior from Victory Road, and it's all on tape, it's all out there. But anybody who's followed this show since we went on the air in 1998 knows that I have long been a Jeff Hardy mark. And it didn't dawn on me till after walking away from Jeff Hardy how big a deal that was to have had that opportunity to talk to him and for him to have given us the opportunity to be the first vehicle by which he speaks out. It was pretty special.
It's his first interview.
Absolutely it was.
That's humongous, bromigo.
And you can see that interview right now on our website, pwrshow.com. Again, pwrshow.com. It was as part of Primetime on My 24 Milwaukee last week. And definitely want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for watching the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime each and every week on My 24 Milwaukee. The numbers are solid. And you know, our specific research, David, has indicated that most people tune in for me.
Because you're the rock star. I mean, come on. It's your show, remember?
But no, thank you so much, David from Michigan, and you definitely have to check out that Jeff Hardy interview. Maybe we'll play it here tonight. It certainly can be played, and you can hear what Jeff had to say about Victory Road. And I mean, he didn't hold anything back. He said, you know, hey, I was messed up, and went on from there. So
you know, and some people say, well, you didn't ask the hard questions. He came clean on everything. What was there to ask? Say, oh, what were you taking? What were you doing? He owned up. He fessed up to the whole thing.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for that call, David. Let's go to Houston now. Donald Von Davis. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, guys. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thanks for calling in, Donald.
Yeah, I got a comment to make about the ending. It's not only not believable for me, but it's stupid, mainly because I think that it's just wrestlers being a bunch of babies and complaining about things that happens almost every day since Raw started. But not only that, but for me, when the referee started talking, that's when it dawned on me. Cause I'm thinking that has no one remembered back when the referees got beat up so bad that they went on strike a couple years ago.
I do remember that, yes.
And even then they weren't safe because I remember the Dudley Boys went and beat the crap out of one of the referees during that strike.
Mm-hmm.
So for that one referee to say that he never felt that unsafe, that was just stupid to me.
Maybe what we didn't see in this whole thing, maybe we haven't seen enough of Triple H actually not being in control. What I mean by that is, at Hell in a Cell, you saw him involved, not just physically, but definitely involved.
He's always physically involved somehow.
But maybe we didn't see enough of what we saw at the end of Hell in a Cell, because that goes to show, I think, visually, and allows you to absorb it better, how he may have lost control of the company. And maybe if we saw more of that, it would make tonight a little bit more believable. It seems to be, and we'll put a poll out on Facebook, Linda. We'll ask the peeps out there what they think. But it seems to be split right down the road right now. Those who thought tonight was good and encouraging for next week, and those who thought tonight was a bit of a joke. So we'll give you guys the opportunity to make the decision, and we'll share that here on the radio show tonight.
You know what? Despite whether you loved or hated the ending tonight, I have a tweet here from Dan Saint 5879 saying, those types of endings are predictable, but always a lot of fun to watch as a fan. So I think that's overall.
It was definitely fun to watch. There is no doubt about that. And, we'll see where it goes from here. Let's continue on the phones. Got a lot of callers tonight. Want to try to get as many people in as we can before we go to Chavo Guerrero at the top of the hour. And let's go to Rockford. Rockford and John is waiting on line 3. John, you're live.
Hey, guys. What's going on tonight? How y'all doing?
Tremendous.
Okay. This is my opportunity to be critical, but I know how you guys are, so I'm going to give you my reasons for being critical.
What does that mean? How are we?
With the whole TNA thing. You want reasons for being critical? I'm going to give you reasons for me being critical.
Okay.
Now, you said it almost feels like I'm watching TNA because you brought up a good point. They're throwing way too much at us too fast. What started off to be really, really promising has kind of become like a train wreck. And it's you're lost, you're confused. They had really good momentum going with Punk, and I don't know if they decided halfway through if he just wasn't the guy they thought he was, and they're trying to phase him out.
Oh, they're not going to phase him. They're too invested in him right now.
But see, that's the thing, though. That wouldn't be the first time they've done something like that. I'll give you an example. Like when and this is going to sound ridiculous, when they tried to push Billy Gunn against The Rock at SummerSlam. They had so much promise for Billy Gunn this, Billy Gunn that. He had that one match with The Rock, and boom.
Here's the one difference, though. Here's the one difference. Billy Gunn never said, I think the company will be better when Vince McMahon is dead.
Well, that's true. And Punk actually has talent. But
wow. Billy Gunn is a talented guy. Come on now.
Oh, come on, man. Road Dogg carried that team for real. We don't even get me going on that. But it's just I don't know. It's almost like I'm watching TV. They're doing too much too fast. Like, we're honestly going to believe that they fired 2 guys 2 weeks ago, and now they're going to just be Invasion storylines are over with. Nobody cares. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just not believable.
I like how they're calling them the outsiders, too, by the way.
But see, here's the thing, though. If WWE couldn't pull off a decent Invasion angle when they had WCW and ECW, they're never going to be able to do it.
But that was a different time also. And you know what? They didn't have the key pieces to make it a success. They didn't have the Goldberg. They didn't have the outsiders. They didn't have Hogan. They didn't have, they had Booker T. They had Rhino.
Scott Steiner.
Scott
Bagwell.
Steiner came in later.
Yeah.
So they didn't have all the main pieces.
That's true. I mean, that's a good point. But I think this storyline has gone to the point to where the only thing that can salvage it is if the person pulling the strings is either Steph or Shane. I think that's the only thing that can salvage this.
Vince McMahon will return to WWE television.
But see, it would be boring if it was Vince.
Really?
Let it be Steph. Let it be Shane. I mean, how many times has Vince like with the corporate ministry, and how many times has Vince been the guy behind the scenes? I mean, you guys were right. Laurinaitis isn't important enough for anybody to care. It's got to be somebody important enough, and it's got to be either Steph or Shane. And if it was Vince, I'd be let down.
John Laurinaitis is Vince McMahon's right-hand man next to Brian Gerwitz.
But nobody really knows who he is unless he was holding like a New Zealand flag for the sheep herder.
Exactly, or if he has a skateboard with Shane Douglas.
So I mean, the average fan is not going to know who this guy is enough to care or invest in it. So I mean, the big send off has got to be somebody big, and if it's Vince, I mean, that's just too obvious. I mean, and look, we're sitting here talking about wrestling like it's Clue.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got to be Steph or Shane, guys. It's got to be. That's the only thing that would get either that or I'd go out on a limb.
Why can't it be Vince and Kevin Nash and The Miz and Ron Killings and one or two other guys?
Why couldn't it be Shane and Miz?
Here's why it can't be Shane. Because Shane and his dad still really aren't talking.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So Shane, as far as I'm concerned, is out of the equation.
But wouldn't Steph be fun? Wouldn't Steph be fun, though?
My daddy!
But why would she undermine her husband?
I mean, it's wrestling. Why is anything?
She turned on her brother back at Survivor Series 2000.
Exactly. She wasn't sleeping with her brother.
Well, he tricked me. I'm young. I'm naive.
Wait, what about?
Ooh, yeah.
What about for a twist? You know, maybe it's HBK.
Nah. I think
his
you're
beliefs
reaching
wouldn't allow that.
I think you're
that
reaching
would have
out,
been
John.
fun, though. That would have been cool.
John, thank you very much for that call. I think the overarching statement you're making is a valid one, though. The end of this needs to make some sense. And, again, I think it will. But I question, though, a lot of people who like this or a lot of people who did not like this may not have been on the same side of the fence as it pertains to the CM Punk situation because, David, a lot of people have said WWE has dropped the ball on CM Punk. But a lot more people...
I'm not going to even talk about that anymore.
A lot more people have said that they have not. Does tonight sort of show that maybe CM Punk's stock is indeed falling?
Punk was a non-factor tonight.
Absolutely.
Even Cena was a non-factor. Do you know who was the biggest factor in the show tonight?
Cody Rhodes.
Sheamus.
Really?
His music played to end the main event. He got the big pinfall of all 12 guys. Sheamus is on his way back up to being one of the top guys in the company. You may not like it, but you're going to have to learn to live with it.
Thank you, Mr. Flair.
What?
Ric Flair said that once.
No, he did not.
Something like it.
Come on. Give me some credit once in a while.
Thank you for that call, James. That was John from Rockford. Thank you very much. Another caller popped up there. But the Facebook poll indicate it's skewing very heavily one-sided right now. So, again, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but you could share your opinion for what will be the final answer at the end of this program tonight on our Facebook page and vote. Did you think tonight's ending to WWE RAW was believable? And if you want to share your comments, you can do so as well. We'll potentially read some of those on air. More about WWE RAW tonight. The match that never was, David Hero. Kelly Kelly teaming up with Eve to take on Beth and Natalya. And you expressed some dissatisfaction earlier with Kelly Kelly and the way she presented herself tonight after that big matchup with Beth Phoenix last night.
She didn't sell any of the injuries. None of them. I don't get it. You know, I just don't see it.
Is consistency lacking?
Yeah, that's what it really is.
More so than it has been in the past? Or is it more prevalent
I know that
now?
I know that the average wrestling fan has a great memory. It's just very short. Okay? And that's always been one of the problems. I mean, if you look at the baby faces and the heels, Sheamus was hugging John Cena tonight in the ring after he won the match.
Mm-hmm.
So a year ago, they hated each other.
Right.
So it's just not being consistent from night to night. I don't mind, things being cloudy after a couple months, but there's no way Kelly should have been walking down to that ring like nothing was wrong with her.
Maybe she could accompany John Cena to the ring tonight.
You know what? I have accepted the fact that John Cena is not human. Okay? He's a cyborg.
A Cyberman?
Whatever you want to call him is fine. So I'm no longer going to expect John Cena to sell anything. So that's fine. But
not even merchandise, apparently.
But Kelly. Okay, you're implying that now CM Punk is the number one merchandise seller in the company?
I read that somewhere.
Okay, you know what? That's fine. Do you know why he's number one? Because Cena's been number one for over 5 years. If nobody doesn't have a John Cena t-shirt, they haven't tried very hard. So they have no choice but to buy something new.
All right.
Capiche? Makes sense?
That's fine. I'm just like,
yeah.
I'll make sure John knows that you just are here to heavily defend him tonight.
I'm not heavily defending. I'm just accepting the fact as to what it really is. Now I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about Kelly, but we've given that enough time. We're going to move on.
She's 93 pounds.
And a half. Come on now.
Okay. She should be selling that, Beth Phoenix damn near almost broke her in half last night.
Already in the ring was Drew McIntyre for his matchup against Randy Orton.
It's because he forgot his theme music.
He forgot it? They bring that with him?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Is it on an iPod?
I think his wife got it in the settlement, to be honest with you.
That's part of 50%?
Well, he's not getting paid much for the matches he's in.
Mark Henry defeats John Morrison, but doesn't quite take him out, as he's done with others. And we find out that the Big Show is back this Friday night on SmackDown, and Mark Henry's not backing down from that challenge.
I didn't like how they booked Mark Henry tonight.
Really?
Yes. There's no reason for Randy Orton to beat him up. Save that for down the road when he's going to beat him for the championship. Let Mark Henry be indestructible.
Didn't they do it in such a way where it wasn't as if Randy Orton didn't come off too strong?
Yeah, he did.
Really?
He beat him up and knocked him over the guardrail.
Well, he fell. He tripped. There was a wet spot on the floor, and he slipped. And due to his height, he fell over the wall as a result. Let's go to Will down in Louisiana. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report. Hello, Will.
Hey, before I get to my comment, Damien, can you please do your Stephanie McMahon impression again, please?
Oh, no. My ears bleed.
My husband.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know why, but that makes me laugh every time.
Stephanie was a good talent. I do miss her on air. And I always remember when she won the Divas Championship or whatever it was on SmackDown? I will never get the visual of the look on her face out of my head because she was just tremendous. That and the other great Stephanie moment I thought was, I mentioned it earlier, Survivor Series, was it 2001 or 2? When there was WWE versus the Alliance, and it was the night after when Jerry Lawler came back to Raw, and
Ric Flair bought into the company.
Was a consortium, and Stephanie had turned on Shane.
You know what? That was
He tricked me.
That may have been Flair's best business venture, was being in the consortium back then.
Will, what do you have for us?
Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. We were talking about Stephanie.
Happens to us, too.
Yeah, anyway, going back to Raw tonight, I just got to say, it has been very critical tonight, and it does seem like half the people liked it, half the people didn't. I just got to say, for those that didn't, would you rather want to go back like 6 months with the true PG era to where everything's just lackluster and boring? At least stuff's interesting again. Come on.
That's a great point.
I mean, everybody's got an opinion, but it just seems like 6 months ago everybody was complaining, oh, the PG era is so boring, blah, 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 there's nothing new, there's nothing exciting. And then we get Money in the Bank, which was one of the best pay-per-views in quite some time, years even. And then we get this whole storyline, everything's become interesting again. And then it seems like one bad thing, and everybody's all like, oh, I'm not going to watch wrestling again. It's horrible. I can't believe this. It's like, come on, y'all. Be patient. I know wrestling fans aren't patient, but we got to be a little bit patient to get a true payoff here.
Well, I think that's a tremendous point. And I think what is also different now compared to, as you said, 6 months ago or so, where the edge has sort of been shining more in WWE, is we have gotten... I think maybe that's our next series, our next in-depth series, David Hero, of what has evolved in the last 12 months or in the last 10 months in WWE since January, because a lot of new people have prominent roles and a lot of new people are in championship
I forgot what I did yesterday. You want me to go back 10, 12 months?
All right. The interns will take notes. They'll get you prepared, and we'll just talk about it. But it's a very valid point that Will is making. And, it is true. Wrestling fans are impatient. But at the same time, the companies owe it to their fans to give them something so that they don't realize how impatient they are. Continue moving forward. And it seems as if sometimes in this day and age, you have to make it blatantly obvious as to what's going to happen next for most fans to be satisfied.
Well, that's true, but again, it just seems like everybody that's coming on radio tonight just keeps complaining about tonight's show, and I'm just like, just calm down, okay? It will be all right. It is not the end of the world. Just calm down, tune in next week, and then we'll get Mr. Laurinaitis, the VP of Talent Relations, to explain everything. So, I mean, come on.
That's better than having the Phantom of the Opera, Cody Rhodes, out there.
Well, but anyway, Laurinaitis, if you haven't noticed,
it's laryngitis.
Almost like every vignette he has, he's texting on his phone now. Nobody's interested in that.
Oh, yeah.
Who raised the cage, who lowers the cage, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot going on. And I guess, and thank you very much for that call, Will, down in Louisiana. I think it's important to say this before we go to Chavo Guerrero in a few minutes after Sports Center, is that Raw tonight, I think, delivered. My challenge with the ending segment on Raw was that it was too comical to be worthy of intriguing me enough to tune in to find out what happens. That's the challenge. I didn't expect it to feel real, but I didn't expect it to be somewhat laughable. And I thought tonight it was a bit laughable. We have a few of you waiting on hold. Unfortunately, we're going to have to drop the lines. We'll go to your calls after Chavo Guerrero, who will be our guest in just a few minutes here on the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com. I want to welcome you, those of you just joining us here on 540 ESPN in Milwaukee. Damian Nelson along with David Hero and Linda Kay here on Monday, October 3rd, 2011. And we are joined by the man whose music you hear in the background. Please welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report, Chavo Guerrero. Chavo, how are you tonight?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing?
Absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for joining us here on a late Monday night. And Chavo, it's great to talk to you. We first time having you on this program, and want to hear a little bit about what you're up to nowadays, talk about your time in WWE and your thoughts on what's going on in professional wrestling right now. And I can't wait to hear some of your answers, especially if they're anything like some of the tweets we've seen you tweeting at Mex Warrior on Twitter. So firstly, Chavo, why don't you share with the world what happened surrounding your departure from WWE and what you've been up to since leaving WWE a few months back.
Sure. Well, what happened was that I finally just got tired of, the machine kind of passing you by and just kind of pushing the people that I'm. To me, wrestling really has changed, at least with the WWE, and man, it's like they don't really care if you can wrestle anymore. They just try to put the other people out there that just doesn't make sense to me anymore. I watch the shows, and I just can't watch them anymore. It's very hard for me to watch them because you never see that match anymore, that great match. It's very, very few and far between. You'll get some guys out there that are still good, like a Christian and RKO together. That they'll go tear the house down. But those matches like we'd see at WrestleMania with Taker and Shawn Michaels, those when we were. All of us were sitting there watching them. They're not around anymore. I can't watch when these guys are just not good.
Well, Chavo, one of the things that I've been saying is that it's kids, that they're just taking them off the indie circuit, putting them in a warehouse and saying, okay, learn. Whereas, back when it was, you and Taker and Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin and so on and so forth, you guys worked the territories.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I guess it's not all their fault because, there's really no territories anymore. So, you got a guy like guys that came from a different sport and saying, well, I'll try wrestling. And next you know, they're in FCW, and next you know, they're on TV. And they're springboard to their acting career or whatever you want to call it, So, it is what it is. But I feel bad for the fans, just because they're they're not being delivered those matches and the entertainment that wrestling is capable of.
You mentioned earlier and I quote, the machine passing you by. You spent a ton of time in both WCW and WWE. You were in ECW, you were on SmackDown, you were on Raw. Chavo was always there. It was a bit of a surprise once WWE announced that you were no longer going to be with the company, especially given the fact that you had worked with so many people and made them better, specifically, most recently, Sin Cara.
Yeah. Well, I asked for my release. They didn't fire me.
Right.
I asked for my release, and that's when I definitely want to put that out there. I know they always put it on the website to where it's kind of the hints, like they let you go and good luck in your future endeavors,
Right.
But really the true story is that I asked for my release. I just got tired of not being used there, and wrestling's different than any other real business out there because it doesn't really matter if you're, let's say, good in the ring or good in your promos or just good, period. It comes down to one guy, and it comes down to Vince McMahon. And if he sees that he can make money with you, or if he thinks, well, we're gonna push him, we're gonna put the rocket on him, if you want to call it, well, then there you go. And it just, you've seen it time and time again where they try to force guys down your throat, and it's like, no pun intended, but they try to force these wrestler characters down your throat, and you're just like going, come on,
Right.
I mean, you want to talk about, Sin Cara, it's like, for real, they moved him from Raw, a live show, to SmackDown, a tape show, because he was messing up all the spots and wasn't good, had to redo matches, and it's like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen them actually cater to somebody like that. I'm
Right.
like, what does this guy have over, Vince or Triple H or whatever? I think he's just like one of the guys' pet projects or something. They want to see, they are trying to show that they can make it work. But it's the same, this is been straight from some of the other wrestlers' mouths that were right in gorilla position when back then when S.A. Rios was doing, Aguilar and
Papi Chulo.
Yeah, and was actually, wrestling, was a good wrestler, but Vince really sat there in the gorilla position and goes, "What? He can't speak English?" He's on. He didn't even know he was already with the company for a year. And all of a sudden, he let him go right there. He'll never make it. He's gone. But then all of a sudden, you got guys that, especially in WWE, your promos are so much of your character, sometimes more than the wrestling now. They, they just a Vince or whoever it is wants to try to make somebody work. They're going to do everything they can to make that guy work. And
is it not true that most of the time they have the ability to make it work?
Well,
most of the time.
This is what I've learned. In wrestling, anything can be done at any time as long as it's done right. I always use the example of the people's elbow. It was an elbow drop,
right?
Just a regular old elbow drop, and it became the most electrifying move in wrestling.
Sports entertainment.
Loved it. It was crazy, and it's just how he did it and when he did it. He hit the right spot, and Rock was give all credit where credit's due, because Rock is an extremely talented guy, promo, ring-wise, everything. He was, he's definitely one of a guy that I look up to that was just a great wrestler all around.
And I think you've shared some of the reasoning already, but a lot of people are surprised when they hear talent such as yourself say that they asked for their release from WWE. Because most people see that as this dream job, see this as this glamorous lifestyle without ever being able to fully understand it, because you really can only understand it if you've done it. So it's how do you explain to a lot of those fans who want to be where you were, why you asked to be released from your contract?
Well, WWE, I always say it's a great job for a young single guy who can go travel the world, and you can make a little money and see a bunch of things and all these different experiences. But then all of a sudden, you get married and you get a family, you have kids, and you're sucked in. You can't get out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't. You know, even it's kind of like when you want to get out, you can't. But then when it doesn't want you, when wrestling doesn't want you, you want to get back in. You know, so it's kind of like catch-22. But you know, I see that and man, you just you really work your butt off at WWE for your money. You know, they don't give you any handouts. You know? And you know they shouldn't. You know, it's just a company. It's a business. But you know, you wrestle a lot and you're gone a lot. So you know, you put up with sometimes the money is not worth all the politics and all the BS that you put up with all the time. You know, it's like, you know, sometimes they try to get you, and I don't understand why, but it's like they try to get you to hate wrestling.
Yeah.
When we love wrestling so much, and it's like, you know, we want to just, propel the company into getting better and us, you know, doing better, and we're working towards the same goals there. But sometimes we feel, and this is from the wrestlers, you know, this is every wrestler will really tell you this, that sometimes you feel that it's the company against you, like they're like you're like enemies, and you're not. You don't want to be, but it's like they put you in that position, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just weird. You know, I've talked to David about this before, and just kind of, you know, you want to, you don't want to hate wrestling because you know it's with me. It's in my blood. It's everything that was, you know, I was about. But it's like I was talking to my dad about it, Chavo Classic, and he goes, well, now you know how I feel, man. It's like they just, man, they get you they just work you and work you and work you and work you and work you, and there's no payoff, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it could be expected that most wrestling fans would ever understand that because it's hard.
It's hard to understand unless you're like in the shoes, you know.
Right.
But that whole saying, the grass is always greener, you know.
Yeah.
You know, hey, it's not. It doesn't matter about the money. It's you can pay you whatever you want, but if you're unhappy, then no amount of money is going to make you happy.
Let's talk about some of the talents in WWE, some that you've worked with, many that you know, some that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to work with. But I'm very intrigued to hear your thoughts on some talents, specifically Mark Henry, because we've seen him move into the role of being the World Heavyweight Champion now in WWE and has been just performing extremely well, if not the best that he's ever performed, at least overall speaking, performing in the ring and whatnot. But what's your opinion, and how do you feel about Mark Henry?
And I won't just say this because Mark Henry is my boy, but you know he's first of all he's a gentle giant. The guy he's a great guy. He legitimately is the world's strongest man, and he's got a heart of gold. You don't ever want to make him mad because he'll rip you in half, literally. But you know, it's great to see somebody who's been around and has been, you know, pushing and going at it and get that opportunity, you know. And I've always said with Mark, he's got a look that there's nobody else like him in the world. You know, he walks into the ring and you're just like, wow, this guy is that a man? What is that? He's like he's so just. I mean, he's just got this look. He's big and strong. And when he's not smiling, you know, we know him in the back. When he's sitting there with that look in his face, man, it's crazy, you know. And I've always told him before I go, when he gets in that ring and he like bum rushes you real fast in the corner. It's like, you know, I've been his partner and seen him do that to people, and I mean, I've heard the people in the front row kind of like gasp, you know, and me watching it going, oh God, like man, I've pulled him aside going, you got to do that more often, man, you got to do that. So, you know, he's just got a different quality other than other people out there, and just, you know, his look. So I'm glad to see him finally get a chance out there, and I hope he holds on to the title for a little bit, you know.
Yep. Alberto Del Rio, current WWE champion.
Alberto, that's another one of my boys. You guys are hitting my friends, and
we didn't even go over this list in advance.
I know, and I won't just talk good about him or bad about him because I like him or don't like him. I'll tell you the truth and what I really feel. Alberto he's a great talent. You know, he's a third generation wrestler. He's the son of Dos Caras and the nephew of Mil Mascaras. So our families actually go way back. You know, my father and uncles that wrestled them for years, and my grandfather had a hand in actually training, Mil Máscaras and those cars. So our families go way back, but Alberto and I only go back about a year. We met when he first came up, and really hit it off, and had a lot of real good matches, and I helped teach him this style, the WWE American style, and he picked it up real fast. And he's just a natural. He's a natural athlete. He's an MMA guy. He's he was a great Greco-Roman wrestler, a world-class wrestler, So he's got everything there. And for somebody to come from Mexico and not speak English, all of a sudden learn English and to be able to do the promos and get the heat that he does, that's, it says a lot.
Yeah.
So he's
and to learn the new style of wrestling, because it's completely different.
Absolutely. But he's an athlete, so he can adapt to that real well, He can't just do not just the lucha spots, but he's learned just to take his time in the ring and stop and look at the people, and and he's got a good look. He's a big guy and he's a handsome guy, and he's
rich, handsome, and powerful.
Yeah,
right.
He's got a future in the business for sure.
John Cena. Your thoughts on John Cena?
Cena. I've talked some stuff on him, but in my Twitter account at Mex Warrior, but I kind of tell it like it is. And John, I like John. John's a nice guy. He's a good guy, and he's a hard worker for sure. My gripe with John is that I felt that he was getting lazy in the ring. Not lazy in the fact that he wasn't working, because the guy's he's out there for 45 minutes, and he's like the backbone of the company.
Right.
But I just felt that he was getting stale. Like all of his comeback was exactly the same. I mean, you can count it, you can say it, by heart. You can, it's shoulder tackle, swing, duck, that side suplex he does, the five knuckle shuffle. You can't see me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like exactly the same thing every time. And really, that's I worked. If you look back at the tapes, we worked together a lot.
Right.
Me and Eddie against one of our first matches at Los Guerreros, or even before Los Guerreros, was against Edge and John Cena. When John Cena said type him, we didn't teach him that way. We taught him think out of the box, do different things. Now, don't get me wrong, especially a babyface or the top babyface, there's moves that you're definitely going to have to get in every match, and that's what people want to see. They want to see those moves. But sometimes you do not necessarily have to do them exactly the same order at all the time. Now, since me saying that, and I don't know if that's a direct result or not a direct result, I've noticed that he's changed up the style a little bit. I can't say that I haven't talked to him.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him. I have no idea. So
he definitely is aware, though, of as you said, you've been very vocal on Twitter, and he's on Twitter as well.
Yeah. But see, he's not. He's a smart guy. He's
Yeah.
not a dumb guy. He's, him and Rock are doing that Twitter battle back and forth, and they got WrestleMania coming up, the next WrestleMania, so they're pushing that. He's never responded to me on Twitter because of the fact that there's no money there. He knows that. There's no money here right now. What are you going to do? Respond to me and get in a verbal battle with me for no reason? There's no money there. He's a smart guy. He's a guy that he's got a bunch of different cars. He's got 20, 30 cars, whatever he's got. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't buy just cars. Like he had a Bentley and he sold it. I go, why? He goes, man, it was devaluating too much. So he just constantly he just buys these cars that are just worth money, that are just going to keep going up in value, and that's his thing, and he's a smart guy. He's not dumb. Hats off to him, for sure.
Well, some interesting comments on some of the biggest stars in wrestling from one of the biggest stars in wrestling, Chavo Guerrero, and you mentioned the biggest event in wrestling, WrestleMania. You've participated in many a WrestleMania, and coming up on December 3rd here in Milwaukee, it is what King Kong Bundy calls the WrestleMania of independent wrestling. Mm-hmm. Blizzard Brawl 7 at the Waukesha County Expo Center. Chavo Guerrero in action.
Chavo Guerrero and Al Snow for the GLCW Championship.
The main event.
You know what? I was wondering, Chavo, Al brings head. Any chance you might be bringing Pepe along?
You know what? I wouldn't rule it out. If he's going to bring his head, then sure, I'll bring Pepe and whack him over the head with it.
I think that'd
But
be fantastic.
I'm looking really forward to wrestling Al Snow. Al Snow is
Tremendous.
a tremendous wrestler. I mean, he's a great guy, first of all, but he's a really good wrestler. He really knows what. We were together on Tough Enough 2 together. He was the main trainer, and I was one of his assistant trainers. And he, man, I was just really impressed with how much he actually knew. I didn't know that he was that versed in wrestling and MMA and just different things. He really knows a lot, you know. So I'm really looking forward to wrestling him, to be honest. I don't think we've ever actually had a one-on-one match.
Well, what was Tough Enough like for you? I mean, at the time, you know, before the Tough Enough they have now, you know, when it was on MTV, I thought it was some of the more interesting wrestling programming on TV. And Tough Enough 2, I'm trying to think who won that year. I think that was Jackie Gaeta. I think she was one of them.
Yeah, Jackie and Linda.
Linda Miles.
Linda Miles.
Yes.
There you go.
What was that like for you to be a part of that?
That was fun. That was a great experience. You know, that was kind of when I was first started out in WWE, and you know, they approached me to do it, and I was like, heck yeah! And you know, I spent 9 weeks in LA, and I'm like a trainer, a teacher by just growing up that way, and that's something that's just in my blood, you know. And I really enjoy coaching, you know, young kids and my son's teams and teaching them, you know, the fundamentals of a sport and or a business, if you want to call wrestling. And it was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I really, you know, I just got a lot out of it. It was hard also because, you know, as wrestlers, we were trying to, you know, produce a wrestler. Well, you know, Tough Enough that was on MTV, they were trying to produce a TV show, you know. So really, that was kind of my first, you know, that was like 2001 or something like that, 2002. So that was my first real experience with that, to where I started really kind of getting wrestling going, without ratings, there's no show. So it doesn't matter how good, you know, we're trying to produce a wrestler, but if no one's watching, it doesn't matter. So, you know, we were being told to keep a couple of people and make sure this guy says, you know, and keep him because, you know, he's good for ratings and this certain stuff. And we were like, God, this guy he can't win. If he wins, you know, we'll quit. You know, but you know, it was a 100% shoot, but the winners actually won. You know, it wasn't like it was a plan type thing, but it was tough because, you know, we wanted the best wrestler out there, and you know, MTV didn't care about wrestlers; they just wanted ratings. And I see that's how it is, and that's TV, you know.
Now, you mentioned you came in around 2001, which was also about the same time the whole invasion angle happened.
Yeah.
WCW, ECW, and the E. And we talked about this earlier, that it may have been one of the biggest failures in wrestling because they couldn't produce the proper invasion angle. You were there. You were a part of it. What do you think was the main problem to have that, you know, real WWE/F versus WCW battle?
Well, the real problem was that everybody that they brought over, their main top guys couldn't really work. You know, excluding Booker T. Booker T can go with the best of them.
Mm-hmm.
But you had, you know, DDP that you know, was good in his own right, but didn't have that kind of style, that WWE style, you know. And then you had like Buff Bagwell and the guys that they just didn't have that style and be able to run with their top guys. You know, you didn't have, you know, our, you know, top guys at the time. You know, for the last 5 years, all you saw in WCW was Hulk Hogan, Goldberg, the Outsiders, you know, Hall and Nash, Lex Luger, Macho Man, and those guys didn't work with anybody under the undercard guys. You know, they didn't work with the Chris Benoits, they didn't work with the Eddies, they didn't work with the Chris Jerichos, they didn't work with the Rey Mysterios, they didn't work with me, and we all wanted to work with them, but they just, you know, they all stayed in their little clique, and nobody worked with us. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you remember back then, you always had like the mid-card matches that would carry the show, and then all of a sudden you had the main events that were like, wah, wah, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, that's when that cruiserweight style really got over, because it was kind of like the I used to call it the working man's belt, you know, because we'd all bust our asses. Not that everybody else didn't, but we were having the best match of the show. So I think that they had no legs to stand on. You know, everybody was young guys. You had some of the like Sean O'Hare's and
Palumbo and
Chuck Palumbo, and guys were just young guys that they're not going to be able to go with the WWE's top stars, with the Undertaker and The Rock at the time, and Stone Cold, and Shawn Michaels was there, but Triple H. It wasn't going to happen. You know,
were those stars that had come over from WCW deliberately treated differently in a negative way than the WWE born stars?
No, I didn't notice anything. Maybe some of the other guys noticed it. I really didn't. I don't know, maybe because, being a third generation wrestler, that they already accepted me or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. They there was definitely some hazing going along, but it's just like a regular locker room. You go into a locker room, I'd been around locker rooms my whole life. I played all different kind of sports, and it was always in a locker room when you're the young guy. There's etiquette, there's protocol in there. So the first thing you do, these guys test you a little bit. So yep. And we got tested. Bradshaw, I remember the first time, he was messing with people big time. So that he looks at me and he goes, Chavo, you ain't like Eddie. I was like, okay, how's that? And he's in front of everybody. He goes, you're good looking. He goes, I think I'm going to rape you tonight. Everybody looked at him like, what the heck's going on here? Because he'd already been razzing other people.
Yeah.
So I looked right at him and I said, it's about time I got some action. He started laughing and we started laughing, and it kind of, right away, I guess, I don't know if he accepted me right then, and, so I didn't really, like, back to the story, the question, I didn't really, I didn't see it. Some people definitely saw it, I feel bad for Buff Bagwell. They beat him up pretty good, him and Farouk, and I get along with Marcus very well. To me, he was a really cool guy. But, there's, you come into the locker room,
he's a heat machine, though. I love Buff to death, but he brings a lot of that on himself at times.
Oh, well, I agree. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you go into somebody else's locker room, you're the new guys in the block, you're in WWE now, and everything you did in WCW, it was gone. It's over. You're starting brand new again, and you had to realize that. And I know I knew that. I realized that. And, I was able to get along with everybody great, and, there was a couple problems here and there, but, my family kind of worked with all these veterans already, so I knew a lot of them already, so I didn't really see it.
Chavo, you mentioned you're a third generation. If you look at the current roster right now, you have Joe Hennig, Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase Jr. So you have three, and of course there's Randy Orton as well, guys that are second and third generation wrestlers.
Right.
I think with the exception of Randy, I think the other three have had a difficult time getting established and getting themselves going. How hard is it to grow up a Guerrero in the wrestling business, or a Rhodes or a DiBiase or a Hennig?
A Hennig or a McGillicuddy, if you want to call it.
Right, sure. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know why they're not using his real name. Come on. But it's hard. There's no guarantee you being a second or third or fourth generation. There's no guarantee you're going to make it in this business. It's a tough business, and it really is. So it's hard because you get in the door, you get your foot in the door easier. But once you get in the door, you have to prove yourself. There's a status you already have to live up to. You're already living up to your uncle or your grandfather or your father or whatever it might be, or all three of them. So it's tough. Because I'll take it for me, for instance. My grandfather Gory. When my father grew up started the business, everybody said, you're not going to be as good as your dad. So then when Eddie started the business, who's much younger than his older brother, Chavo Classic, my father, when Eddie started, they were like, you'll never be as good as your dad and Chavo and your older brother, Chavo. When I started, everybody said, you're never going to be as good as Eddie, and it's just those haters out there that they try to compare you. But we can't be as good. We can be different. We can be, and that's just, we're all different people, so you got to overlook that. Is Cody Rhodes ever going to be Dusty Rhodes? Well, of course not. Nobody's going to be Dusty Rhodes. Mm-hmm. I think Cody Rhodes, he's got a great future. He's a young guy. He's a 25-year-old kid, and, he's blossoming. He's going to be really, really good. I think he's getting better and better every time. I've had some really great matches with the guy, and but is Ted DiBiase Jr. ever going to be Ted DiBiase Sr.? No. Was Ted DiBiase Sr. His father? No. I mean, it changes. Bob Orton, was he Bob Orton Sr.? No. With Randy Orton, he totally, completely changed too. And
yep.
It just sometimes it's whatever they see in you. If Vince McMahon sees it, well, then he's going to push you, no matter if you're first, second, third, 10th generation.
And sometimes whether it's there or not, too.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes whether it's there or not. You've seen it. You've seen other, second-generation stars that get shoved down your throat and never amount to it, Yep.
Well, Chavo, we're going to take a brief time out here, and when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about your thoughts on TNA Impact Wrestling and also Ring of Honor Wrestling. This is the Pro Wrestling Report with Chavo Guerrero here live on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
540 ESPN.
Ooh, Chavo. Chavo, todo nombre.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com. We're live here on Monday night, October 3rd, 2011. Chavo Guerrero is our guest, and it's been spectacular talking to you so far here on the program. As a matter of fact, we just got a tweet from one of our followers whose username is Idiot Brewer Fan. He says, this interview with Chavo Guerrero is absolutely tremendous. Viva la Raza. People enjoying what you have to say. And how could they not? The great Chavo Guerrero here on this program. And we're going to see you here in Milwaukee on December 3rd as part of Blizzard Brawl 7. Now, Chavo, I don't know if you're aware, but there is another main event on that card in addition to you and Al Snow.
Now, how could there be two main events? Either one's the last match or it's not the last match.
You guys are headlining.
I always love the dual main event.
Yes, double main event. It's going to be Chris Masters returning to the ring to take on and lose to me, Damian Nelson.
All right.
It's the Nelson lock versus the Master lock.
Yeah, this is going to be great.
I feel for him. But anyways, Chavo, obviously you've been watching the product and you know what's going around and what's happening out there. And I really would love to get your opinion on a matchup that we are going to be seeing in a few weeks coming from TNA Wrestling. And that is the main event, the headliner, if you will, from Bound for Glory. And that is Hulk Hogan versus Sting, one-on-one in a wrestling ring on October 16th in Philadelphia.
Okay, so now let's give me some insight here. Have you actually wrestled yet, Sting and Hulk?
In TNA, no. They did wrestle some 15 years ago in WCW, I believe was the last time.
Right. Okay. Well, you know what? That's I don't know. That's a tough one. We don't know who's going to show up. Really, Sting's in wrestling, and he's still going. He can go, but we haven't seen much of Hulk in the ring.
He's had 9 back surgeries since February of last year.
Yeah, so you can't. I mean, you haven't seen much of him in the ring. I've seen him on his commercials, the
Rena Center,
Rena Center, own Rena Centers, and other the commercials like that, but I haven't seen him in the ring, so I don't know if he can still go, if he can still move. I don't know.
Well, Chavo,
I hope he can. I mean, people are paying for this hype
pay-per-view,
and the pay-per-view. You want to deliver to the fans.
I honestly believe that Hogan versus Sting is not to have a wrestling match, but to try to sell tickets. I think that it's the two most recognizable names they have in TNA, and it's they're Bound for Glory is their WrestleMania, it's their Super Bowl, World Series, however you want to phrase it, and they need to sell out about a 10,000 seat building. And Hogan and Sting are the only two guys that they could knock on every radio station and TV station's door and say, hey, Hulk Hogan and Sting's coming to town, and people will know who they're talking about. As talented as the rest of the TNA roster is, a lot of the casual wrestling fans will have no idea who they are.
Right. No, I see that, and I agree with that. And it's all, like you said, it's all about putting butts in the seats and selling those tickets. But I'm just such a firm believer in delivering to the fans, and I was so upset in that Mayweather fight when he got paid $40 million and cheap shot of the guy and really and then he didn't even take responsibility for it. Just sat there and put it all on the other.
Guy who was all about lie, cheating, and stealing is all upset about Mayweather getting $40 million.
Well, hey, I'm down with him making that kind of money, but at the same time, I just was instilled from my grandfather that you've got to give the fans, these people that are paying their money to see you got to give them your money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
And you really, you got to produce for these guys. So,
and that's
hopefully the rest of the card is great, and they're all the other matches really produce, and you can overlook the last match. And you know what? Before I even start talking, hopefully you don't have to overlook the last match, and they do what they do best and entertain.
Yep.
Hulk's a great entertainer, so Sting.
That matchup at Bound for Glory, those two, and you talk about some of the other matchups on the card. Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode are going to be going against each other for the TNA Championship. And we've asked and spoken to a lot of people on this program, and without asking them directly, unlike we're going to do to you, without asking them directly, though, they've brought up Bobby Roode as one of those talents that they've noticed. Do you have an opinion on Bobby Roode from TNA Wrestling?
Yeah, you know what? It's great to see him get a chance and to see if he can step up and hang with Kurt. Kurt's a machine, and I know he's getting older and he's a little banged up, but I wrestled Kurt for 3 straight months for me and Eddie against him and Benoit, and he's the guy's a machine. He goes and goes and goes, so there's no off switch with him, So it's great to see that you get the chance. Bobby Roode get a chance. I remember watching when Triple H got that chance,
right?
And next thing you know, he was doing main event stuff, and I remember when we were watching. I was doing WCW. I'm going, why are they pushing him? What's going on? And then he got that chance and broke into that upper echelon, and it's good to see people like that. Hopefully, Roode can deliver, and maybe you get another star.
How did it feel to go back to WWC, where you went back in July for the first time since going to WWE, and then to win the Caribbean Heavyweight Championship?
It was definitely cool. The Puerto Rican fans are, they're pretty crazy, but it's different. It's different because you don't have that huge, machine behind you, and it's a lot of freedom, to be honest. Basically, I just went out there and they just said, "Oh, okay, Chavo, I was like, basically, how long do you want me to go?" And they said, "Oh, you do whatever you want." So I was like, "All right, great." So there's really a lot of freedom out there, and so that's I really enjoyed that part of it. And I made a nice little vacation out of it. I was there for about 4 days and had a great hotel, and Carlos Colon really treated me really well. So that was cool too. So.
Excellent. Well, Chavo, it's been great talking to you. One thing I want to talk to you about as well is what has recently debuted on television, and that is Ring of Honor Wrestling. And obviously familiar with Ring of Honor Wrestling. They're now on about 40 different markets here in the States and on broadcast television, which is filling somewhat of a void for a lot of fans since all of the other programming is on cable television. But do you have an opinion or thoughts on Ring of Honor Wrestling and their chances with this big move?
Well, I hope they make it. It's better for all the wrestlers, and when there's other places to go, and anything with wrestling, I just really want to see it succeed and get bigger and reach out to more people because it's such a great entertainment. That, people can really enjoy it and lose themselves in the reality, non-reality of pro wrestling. So I really like that the opportunity for people to see that. And it's more stars, it's different stars. It's not just the WWE stars, or just the ones that these are the ones you're going to watch, and this is who you're going to like, and this is who you're going to hate. You get to make more of your opinion, and then with Ring of Honor, you get wrestling. You actually get some great matches, and people actually go out there and produce. It's great to get a chance to actually see these guys.
Yeah. And, Chavo, we've talked about WWC, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor. A lot of people wondering where next might they see Chavo Guerrero.
Well, there's a lot of, hopefully, on my couch.
Wait a minute.
Was that an invite? Linda?
Yeah, I'll put a picture on Twitter for everybody on my couch. You know what? It's so hard, man, because I've been on the road for 15 straight years, and now actually for me being home for 3 months was like, man, it was so nice, and just I actually was able to, coach my son's team and just be a regular person. It was nice. It was great, So I never would want to go back to the schedule that I kept with the WWE. Unfortunately, my job will take me away from my family and keep me on the road. But there's a lot in the works actually right now. Man, I've got a book deal happening right now, and I'm in talks with a documentary, and I just started a new website that'll be up in the next about 5 days, VivaLaRasaShop.com, with new shirts and all different kind of stuff out there. So I got a lot on my plate. I live in California now, so I am close to Hollywood.
Sunshine.
Yeah, for sure, a lot of sunshine. We're in talks with some movie theaters. I'm taking tickets to movie theaters.
You and Fuji. That's what's going to be out on all the internet reports tomorrow. Chavo Guerrero is relegated to working in movie theaters, taking box office tickets.
But movie studios, and we got a new agent coming on here, and I'm doing stuff with the Imperials Car Club, and I got a lot of things on my plate right now. Things that I could never have done being a WWE because they just wouldn't let you do any outside activities.
You're your own boss now.
Yeah, I'm my own boss.
He is married, so his wife is the boss.
yeah, exactly. I'm my boss when I'm allowed to be.
Very nice.
Excellent. Well, Chavo, great talking to you. And again, we'll see you December 3rd here in Milwaukee. Blizzard Brawl 7 going to be taking on Al Snow. I believe that match for the GLCW Heavyweight Championship.
Absolutely. And, of course, we'll have Demolition will be there, Serena Deeb, Chris Masters, Carlito, Harry Smith. It's going to be quite the interesting show. BlizzardBrawl.com for more tickets and information.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Chavo.
All the fans out there, Viva la Raza.
Thank you so much. Chavo Guerrero here on the Pro Wrestling Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. When we come back, we're going to get to a couple more of your phone calls as we round out the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
540 ESPN.
Arriba! What was Tito Santana's finishing move called? Bobby Heenan called it the Flying Burrito, didn't he?
Yes, he actually
WrestleMania
did.
8. Boy, can Tito's sister really belt one out. Will you stop? What do you mean? That's a Reba McEntire, isn't it?
Bobby was the best.
Bobby is the best.
Well, he hasn't been on TV in a while, but...
Correct. He still holds that crown. And we want to welcome you back to the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN. Little Latino Heat is the theme of themes tonight. And thank you to all of you who suggested theme songs on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. And Linda, I think that was Tito Santana.
Absolutely.
Former Intercontinental Tag Team Champion.
Strike first.
Tito was supposed to be the world champion, but they gave it to Bret Hart instead. Because they were debating which way they wanted the company to grow. Was it going to go to Mexico or Canada?
North or South.
And they went with Canada. So Bret Hart beat Ric Flair, not Tito Santana beating Ric Flair.
Fun fact. And thank you again, JD, again, for submitting another great theme for tonight's Latino Heat.
Let's go to a very patient caller on the phone line. James down in Houston, Texas. James, you're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Good evening, gentlemen and lady. How's Milwaukee treating you guys tonight?
Tremendous.
Okay,
Milwaukee always treats us good, even when the Brewers are on.
All right. I have a couple quick questions. I was watching Raw tonight, and it feels like to me that they may have one of the big faces turn heel. I wanted to know if you guys agree with that, and if so, which big face do you think that they'll pull the trigger on to become heel? And another question, I saw on Primetime last week that y'all were going to give out information for Sweet and Sexy 2, and I just wanted to know when would that be. Thank you guys for taking my call.
James, thank you very much for calling in. And again, thanks for your patience. Sweet and Sexy Miami. It's the only way to see WrestleMania. You can join the star of the Pro Wrestling Report, me, in a suite in Sun Life Stadium in Miami, Florida for WrestleMania 28. The Rock versus John Cena. The best travel package available today. It includes not only seating in a suite at WrestleMania. You're not involved or worried about everybody else. You won't get a beer spilled on you in the suite.
Well, it depends.
Not a beer.
Maybe some
I said
Jameson.
It might be Jameson, though.
That could happen. But that was very successful last year. I want to thank the many of you from 14 different states who joined us at WrestleMania in Hotlanta. This year in Miami.
Oh, my gosh.
And tickets will be going on sale for that on October 21st. We did confirm directly with the stadium that tickets for WrestleMania itself will be going on sale November 5th. So a few weeks before that,
So
you
we're
can
going to be
purchase
on
your
sale
package.
before WrestleMania?
Absolutely. You can purchase your package and get locked into a suite, VIP entrance. We're going to have the PWR meetup party again that weekend and all kinds of other extras, which will be fully announced on PWRshow.com this week, along with pricing and payment plan information. So you can sign up on October 21st, sign up for a convenient payment plan option, and be a part of WrestleMania. WrestleMania in Miami, Florida. Linda Kay.
Yes, sir.
South Beach.
I know. I cannot wait.
Hey, we were talking
guys.
to Pitbull last night, and he had some very important
Mr. Will
information. Some very important information about how to put on a party down in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be
I hope
fantastic.
you
I think
took
the
notes.
PWR show can handle it. I think we can do it.
Oh, we'll be fine. It's going to be the biggest and best Sweet and Sexy ever. Again, tickets will go on sale October 21st. All the information specifically will be available on our website, pwrshow.com, Wednesday of this week, where you can sign up and be on the notification list and be reminded when those tickets go on sale on October 21st. Is Kaz coming this year? Does anybody know?
Oh, he's there every year. Because he loves South Beach. I'm telling you, he's
Can we
hanging-
make sure he
he's-
doesn't have the Speedo again?
That was disturbing. I mean, it wasn't even warm enough in Atlanta to be wearing that out by the pool.
Thank you very much for that call and that question, James from Houston. We look forward to joining all of you at WrestleMania 28 down in Miami, Florida.
All right, and now it's time for our fan of the week. This week's fan is Dan Glover from across the pond in the UK.
Was he on Lethal Weapon?
That'd be Danny.
Oh.
This is Dan. All right. Dan says, if you could pick any wrestling legend today, who
Cody
has,
Rhodes.
Legend.
Oh.
who has what it takes
The
to
Miz.
reinvigorate TNA should Hogan leave, who would it be and why? Now, Dan goes on to say, my choice would be The Undertaker because he has a reputation for putting over younger talents. He's done everything there is to do in the business and therefore understands how to get people and angles over. And finally, his love and understanding of MMA could be used to tap into the strong MMA/wrestling fan base that the UFC currently commands. But what do you think?
No. I mean, The Undertaker can't be The Undertaker in TNA. And, I mean, I'm not going to... You can watch this week, comes up with how to fix some of the challenges we've identified with TNA wrestling in our in-depth special. It's going to be Wednesday, available on our website, pwrshow.com.
It's the last part also.
It is the final in the three-part
Of
series.
the trilogy.
Yes. And you can tune into that. Look, at this point, I'm not convinced anybody going to TNA, simply going there, is going to do anything beneficial for
They
the
already
company.
have the biggest name in the business there.
They have an amazing roster. They may have a better roster than WWE.
Oh, hush.
There, I just said it. They may.
Linda,
they may.
Linda, please see if he has a fever.
They may have a better overall roster than WWE.
Okay.
Well, like we've said, they've got Hogan, they've got Flair, they've got Sting, they've got Jeff Hardy, they've got Kurt
The
Angle.
first three guys you mentioned can't wrestle anymore.
I didn't say they have better wrestlers. I said they have the best roster. People, talents, names, faces. There is no chance they have a better wrestling
Come on.
roster.
Is there a Jameson in that Diet Mountain Dew?
No,
can over
I
there?
do believe overall, if you take
Oh my
total
gosh.
names,
You're embarrassing
You
yourself.
take total names.
Yes.
I believe TNA has a better overall roster.
Over Rock, Cena, Orton, Sheamus, Miz, Del Rio, Mysterio. Come on.
When you take the overall WWE roster and compare it to the overall TNA roster, TNA's better.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that email, Dan Glover from across the pond. And Linda,
See
how
what
can
you started, Dan?
How could I firmly believe that? Again, you're comparing top
Apples
level
to
top
oranges.
level. No, you're comparing top. It's overall, whole picture, 8x10, the whole thing. Linda, how do you become a fan of the week?
Just send us your question or comment to comments@pwrshow.com. Again, that's comments@pwrshow.com.
You do that so well. It was good seeing you on Primetime on My 24 Milwaukee last week.
That was nice.
Sexied up the show a little bit. I can't do it all myself, you know.
Earlier in the show, we did ask what the fans thought about WWE Raw. Was it believable, or wasn't it? Was the question. And a lot of people on Twitter and on Facebook not too pleased with some of our opinions, specifically mine, about Raw tonight and that closing angle. But we're going to let you speak about it. And Linda, I think you've got the results to the question, which was the ending to WWE Raw tonight believable?
Well, we've got a lot of people saying no, about 75.
What?
No.
No?
No. About 75% saying no.
Really?
25 saying yes.
Really?
See.
Wow. Well,
it was entertaining.
did anybody from Florida or Ohio vote in that? Do you know? Because they've got some issues. Well, the Chads and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, well, all right. It sounds like you, the fans, thought that Raw was not believable tonight. I'm very intrigued to see what happens on SmackDown, at least for the SmackDown tapings tomorrow. And, of course, you can find out all about the wrestling week and everything that happened on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time every Saturday night, 10 o'clock p.m. on My 24 in Milwaukee and all over the world on our website, pwrshow.com. Right now on pwrshow.com, you can check out that interview with Jeff Hardy from last week's Prime Time, some special video with Mr. Anderson of TNA Wrestling.
Shenanigans.
And this week on the PWR Primetime television show, the Pope, D'Angelo De Niro.
Are you
joins us.
serious?
Absolutely. And David Hero, I asked him specifically about you, and you're going to finally get the burial you deserve from the Pope.
What?
You two have been fighting on Twitter. He's going to be, he's got some words for you. That's all I'm saying.
Where's his match at Bound for Glory?
We'll see
Knockout.
you this Saturday night on My 24 Milwaukee. Thank you so much to Chavo Guerrero, our guest tonight, for joining us here on the 540 ESPN radio show. And we'll thank all of you as well for calling in, participating, and being part of the program. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and live all over the world at ESPNMilwaukee.com.